I'm Batman. "2021 has been an interesting year. Pandemic, lockdown, quarantine, Justice League. Yes, Zack Snyder finally got his cut released into the world. Is that good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Today we're going to be discussing Zack Snyder's Justice League. You may consider this a follow-up to the 2017 version, which was not good. You could tell right from the beginning of the 2017 one that there was a lot of studio interference. Everybody loves a good studio interference. Everybody knows that the executives know exactly what to do when it comes to creativity in a movie, right? So just let's let the executives take over. Now, back in 2017, when the movie was supposed to be out, Zack Snyder had a family tragedy in which his daughter took her own life. Naturally, he stepped away from the project for an indeterminate amount of time. Warner Brothers was like, who cares? We got to get this shit finished and rolled out. And that's first sign that, maybe they didn't really care about the project after all. So they bring in fanboy wonder, Joss Whedon. Now, Joss's early work, pretty good. Buffy, Angel, Firefly, some really good, solid shows. I even liked Age of Ultron. I'm not gonna hide that fact. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies, one of my favorite Avengers movies. But then he comes in and it's been all over the news. He's been a terrible person. Can we just talk about how Mustache Gate happened? That was terrible. That was absolutely atrocious. So, how does Zack Snyder's version fare? Well, it's better in every possible way, from storytelling to cinematography to acting to dialogue, every little bit, even the special effects look better in the Snyder Cut, even if it is in the 4:3 or whatever the dimensions is that he released it in to preserve his artistic vision. I think was the words that are used. Basically everything about this movie is 100% better. But why? Well, first off, it's the director's cut. It is his vision. Compared to the very obvious studio interference of the original Justice League, there wasn't any in this one, or there was very little. There were reports that they demanded some scenes be cut, apparently the end, spoiler alert, where Martian Manhunter comes down to talk to Bruce. That was supposed to be the Green Lantern. That was supposed to be a different character. But they made him cut it or change it for whatever reason. I don't know why, but they did. But let's just start with the basics. How gorgeous does this movie look? Now, I know a lot of people really dislike all the use of slow-mo and the green screen and all the special effects and how nothing really felt real. But if you look at, I think Endgame or Infinity War, one of them was like 97% special effects. Only like Captain America was real in that movie. So yeah, you can't really knock them for using special effects and graphics and all that to make the story come alive. Now, I know that Zack Snyder is one of two camps. You hate him or you love him. I'm more of a fan, to be completely honest. Does he make great movies? No. Does he make fun movies that are visually stunning? Absolutely. You know a Zack Snyder movie when you're watching it, even if you don't know it's done by Zack Snyder. It has incredible special effects. It has this great color grading that kind of washes things out, but really makes them pop at the same time. I don't know how he does it. I really want to know how he does it, but that's beside the point. It makes for a visually stunning experience and it helps tell the story. Now, a lot of the reviews I've been reading about this complain about the slow. Personally, I love slow motion. It gives a sense of urgency in a weird sort of way. It also gives you a sense of drama. It builds the scene. You know something cool is going to happen, or you know something important is happening when it's slow-mo. Now, is it useful? That's up to you to decide. I think it personally adds a little something to the film. It keeps it moving in a different pace, but you add in these slow-mo elements to help with the storytelling and boom, you got a great little scene on your hands. Is it overused? Can anything be overused in a 4-hour movie? Brings me to my next topic. 4 hours and 2 minutes is the runtime. Now, granted, I'm watching that on Crave, which is the Canadian HBO Max sort of thing. Not really, but they're like partnered, so we get some of their stuff. And I think it's about 4 hours and 2 minutes on there, simply because there's 2 trailers for Tenet and Wonder Woman 1984 at the beginning, which are unskippable. They're like embedded into the film for some reason. That might add to the runtime. I don't know. But 4 hours, man. Could you imagine writing a 4-hour script, then shooting a 4-hour movie, and then editing a 4-hour movie? The credits alone must take like 70 hours of man time to fucking get down. But was it absolutely necessary? There are some scenes that should be maybe cut. I mean, we don't need all the fluff at the end of some of the scenes, and there were some definitely gratuitous shots of, you know, like Aquaman taking his shirt off in the slow-mo on the pier. There was also the singing when Aquaman and Bruce first meet. They go into this weird, like, almost feels like a Silent Hill sort of thing. They're just kind of singing in Icelandic, I want to say. I'm not sure what the language is. But this girl starts singing, and then I think the rest of the audience there starts singing too. Could probably be cut. Not needed. But it's a 4-hour movie. If you take that out, you're saving, what, 2 minutes? Is it worth it? Just leave it in at that point. It's probably more work to take it out than leave it in. Now, the performances are what you would expect from a cast such as this. Very, very attractive, very pretty cast. You got Gal Gadot, you've got Jason Momoa, you've got Henry Cavill, you have Ben Affleck, all very handsome and pretty people. Are they the greatest actors of their generation? No. But you don't need great acting when it comes to a superhero movie. They get by, they do their job, and they're believable enough for a superhero movie. And I think that's fine. You don't need Oscar winners. You're not going to win an Oscar with these kind of movies. Never, ever, ever is it going to happen. So you can't really expect an Oscar-worthy performance. Nevertheless, they do their job. Amy Adams is good in it as well. It's just a fun experience to watch these big-name actors be kids, essentially. Another huge change between 2001 and 2017 is the rating. We have an R rating on this movie, which means there's a lot more blood, there's a lot more gore, there's a lot more language. Batman, fuck. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, Batman says fuck. Fucking. But still. And it's cool. It's kind of a badass scene. That's right at the end. We'll get to that scene in a little bit. The reason I think this movie is far superior is not just any one of those pieces, but it's the sum of all its parts. I think this movie, for me, slots top 5, top 6 easy all time. I've watched it 3 or 4 times already, which means I've spent like 20 hours of my life watching the Justice League movie. Not to mention how many times I saw the first one. Granted, I am a huge DC fan, especially when compared to Marvel. I just think their stories are more interesting, a little more adult, a little more cinematic, which is kind of weird to say because like Endgame and Infinity War are 2 of the most epic superhero movies ever made. But that's not the point. The point is that it is different than those. Justice League is a different breed of superhero movies. Zack Snyder's trilogy, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and now Justice League, are all very dark, which a lot of people didn't get, they didn't like for some reason. Why do superheroes have to be over-the-top, colorful, cartoonish characters all the time? Yeah, sure, their source materials are cartoons, but that doesn't mean they have to be. Some of the best stories ever told are written in comics. That's why they stand the test of time. Superman came out in 1937? And he's still relevant in 2021. People have lived and died, and the age of Superman has not gone by the wayside. So these stories are timeless. They can be incredible pieces of artwork as well. And that's what Zack Snyder tried to do. Maybe people think it's a little pretentious. Maybe. I can see that. I can see why people would think that, yeah, you're taking a comic book and making it this R-rated dramatic adventure. But I think that's what we needed. Personally, I do think that the age of Marvel is drifting by the wayside. And you can even see it in their newer shows that they're trying to be a little more grown up. Look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, fucking Captain America just straight up murdered a man in front of people. Not Steve Rogers, of course, but you know. So I think times are trending away from what Marvel established back in, 2008 with Iron Man and the Hulk. And I think they're going to trend towards Zack Snyder's style of movie making. I think in 10, 15 years, people are going to look back and think Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman are epics. I think they're gonna think that these are incredibly well-made films. Sure, there's some goofy storytelling, Martha, but they're still good stories. They're fun to look at. As I said, Zack Snyder has his style. It's very appealing, especially to somebody like me, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm eye candy fodder, and that's the main reason I like it. But in the end, speaking of in the end, before we get to the end, we have to talk about that final scene, which I am to believe was reshot completely from scratch for the Snyder Cut. We are, of course, talking about the nightmare scene. Yes. The premonition Batman has, where we see the Joker come face to face with the Batman, as well as, Deathstroke and Mara and Cyborg and Flash. They don't really matter in this scene, in this context. It's really about the dynamic between the Joker and Batman. And their first on-screen appearance since Heath Ledger and Christian Bale in The Dark Knight. We have to talk about Jared Leto's Joker. Now, a lot of people shit on him for his role in The Suicide Squad. I don't know how much creativity he had in that or creative input he was able to add to that role. It didn't work. I think we can all agree that for as much fun as The Suicide Squad was, it was not a good movie. Maybe the Ayer cut will be released someday. I don't know. Probably not. It seems like Warner Brothers kind of want to put the kibosh on that shit. They're done being made a fool of by the internet and the masses. At least that's what I can tell. But as for the Joker in that movie, it definitely doesn't stand up to the best of all time. He might even be one of the worst. But he redeems himself, Jared Leto does, in the Justice League. He portrays the Joker in a terrifying manner. And the way he is shot, the way the makeup is done, you can't help but think horror movie. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Just the way the cinematography is. When he holds up that card and his face is blurred in the background, kind of like how mine is now because the camera doesn't want to focus. And just the way the makeup hits the light and the shadows drape his face, terrifying. The best Joker makeup I think I've ever seen. That includes Heath Ledger, that includes Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson, all of them. Bar none the best Joker makeup, especially for the time. It's the post-apocalyptic future, man. And then he brings out the laugh. Every Joker has their own unique laugh. This one is no different. It's subtle, which is what gives it a little bit of a scariness to it as well. It has this little croakiness that I can't do right now because my voice is very raw and dry because I've been recording all day. Yeah, I just love that scene. And the interaction between him and Bruce when they're talking about who's lost who's killed who. It sets up for a great sequel, which we're never gonna get unless The Rock pulls through on his promises and funds it. At least that's what I got from the articles. I don't know if that's gonna be true or not, but it would be fucking sick if we got the sequels. Zack Snyder's full 7-movie vision I think he wanted to do. 6 or 7 movies would have been great. But sadly, that is never gonna happen. So to wrap it up, Justice League is definitely worth a watch. I know the 4 hours can seem a little bit daunting, but don't worry. You can pause it at any point and pick it back up. It's split into like 6 chapters. So when that chapter thing pops up after 45 minutes or 90 minutes or however long you want to wait, you just pause it and pick it up right again the next day or later that day. So he knows that there's not a lot of people who are going to sit around and want to watch a 4-hour long movie, even though I've done it 3 times, 4 times. Something like that. So yeah, definitely worth a watch. I'm not going to rate it. I don't think ratings are appropriate because each movie is different. And if you're comparing apples to apples, and you just can't do that. If you rate this an 8 out of 10 and Saving Private Ryan an 8 out of 10, somebody's going to call you fucking nuts. So no ratings, just go see it. It's worth a watch, especially if you're a comic book fan, superhero fan, Marvel fan. Expand your horizons. That's going to do it for me. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button below. Thank you once again. Peace.